Hello and welcome to the Etoft21sports show for February 7th, a special Super Bowl edition. We are going to be covering every single bet in the big game, and obviously, who better to come on than the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ice Cold. And you know what? There's few people that are in my little circle of betting who I talk to about bets throughout the week during the NFL season. And you know what? I think he got in there because him and I talked a lot this year about props, about betting. Who else than Mr. Dave Weaver from FanDuel's More Ways to Win. Dave, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing awesome. I love your Detroit Lions hat that you're wearing. And I'll just throw this out there right now. Tomorrow on More Ways to Win, we are going to have Amon-Ra St. Brown as our guest. So you're going to love that.
I'm definitely going to be watching that. I love St. Brown. I think he's one of the best young wide receivers in the league.
He's
and
awesome.
I think my Lions are going places, man. I think they're going places, my man. I think they're going. You're out there in Zona. How is it out there, my man?
We'll ask him just for you.
How
so cool,
how
man.
is your...
We're on Radio Row, so I'm going to get the opportunity to talk to these guys, you know. So today we talked to Jonathan Ogden, the ex-Raven Pro Bowler. And we talked to David Montgomery, who's a free agent for the Bears. So we got to ask him kind of like, you know, what do you think's going to happen? And he made it sound like he wants to be a Bear. Like he didn't say like, I want to be on this team. I'm looking for this. He likes it there. He likes his coaching staff. He thinks if they can work it out, that they could be good next year. Because he mentioned that a lot of the games they lost this year were by very small margins. Not like they were blown out by 50 points in every game. So even though they had that long losing streak to end the year and they got the number one pick, they weren't that bad, you know. So that was cool. But we're going to have some pretty cool guests on the show. So it's pretty cool to be here for FanDuel TV throughout the week.
That's awesome. My goal is if my Lions ever make it there to go to the Super Bowl. I don't care if I'm 95. If the Lions make it, I'm going.
You'll be there.
I'm not going to it. We're already starting to get some questions in the chat room. I don't know if you are a basketball guy, but obviously Bobby is asking Kyrie to the Mavericks thoughts.
I don't know if that's enough. I know the Lakers were kind of in the hunt or in the mix as well. So you got Luka, you got Kyrie, you got Hardaway, you got Powell, who I'm not that big on. You got Wood, but, you know, you lose Dinwiddie. You know, he's going to help them, but I don't know if that's enough to kind of put them over the hump to be good enough to get to that upper echelon. But I think it's a good move.
Leo says, screw Kyrie, that worthless bum. So obviously,
there's a lot of people on that bandwagon too. Yeah.
So obviously, that's it. Brandon chimes in. Love FanDuel. Thanks for everything you do, Dave. So obviously the big game. I got tons of bets going on, and I'm going to take this opportunity to my own football. I have the Eagles at 30-1 and the Chiefs at 12-1. So I mean, this is like
regardless.
I'm winning money regardless of what's going on. One of the first betting questions we have, who should I bet for the first TD that's not Kelsey?
So you want me to just dive in on that right now?
Yeah, dive in. Who do you got for a first TD?
So my first touchdown score is 28-1 right now in the FanDuel Sportsbook. And if you go back to the last time that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes had the ball at the 1 yard line. The first score was a field goal, but the first touchdown, Mahomes ran out to the right and ran an option. He could have pitched it, and he didn't, because look, when you're in the Super Bowl, you're going to get a little bit greedy, right? You want that first touchdown. So if indeed the Chiefs can get inside the 5 or maybe get a PI in the end zone, whatever it takes to get, I don't think he's going to run it in from the 20-yard line. But if they can get close to the goal line at 28-1, I've got Patrick Mahomes like he did in his only Super Bowl victory to get that first score. That might be like a horse racing thing for me to look at past performances and to go like, okay, this is a horse that did well in this circumstance. I look at that. I kind of look at football the same way. I try to find ways why history would repeat itself. And if Mahomes is in that situation, why wouldn't he want to score?
I just want to thank you for the reminder because I had Damian Williams 10-1 in that game to score the first touchdown. So I just want to personally thank you for that
Hand
reminder.
it off. That's probably who he's going to pitch it to.
opening, because I remember that sometimes when you bet, you remember stuff clear as day, and I remember that clear as day. I also am upset because I had Damian Williams MVP in that game. I think he had like 2 touchdowns and $130. I think he had a huge game, should have won it, and it went to Mahomes. So guys, you know, if you have any betting questions, NFL questions, anything, fire them off in the chat room. Dave and I will answer them. We're going to be going through our bets now. I have a couple bets. Dave has a couple bets. I'll let you kick us off. What's the first bet you're locking in, my man?
So I'm going to start with Travis Kelce, because this is a guy that is historically one of the absolutely most clutch postseason players in the history of the game. So Jerry Rice has 22 postseason touchdowns. Next to that, it's Travis Kelce and Gronk. Gronk has 15, and Travis Kelce has 15. So my first bet is going to be a Travis Kelce anytime touchdown score. And he's not like chalk. I mean, it's not like he's that short. I know he's kind of up there as a first touchdown scorer. I think he's one of the top favorites, but I'm going Mahomes in that spot. But I think Travis Kelce is going to have a big game. So I'm going to go him to score, and I like his alt yards as well. I think his total right now in the FanDuel Sportsbook is 78.5. He had 78 in the conference championship, so he missed that. But his 7 previous postseason games before that, he had 90 or more. So this is a guy that steps up when there's this much on the line. He's going to have a huge game. So I'm going alt 90 receiving on Kelce, which I think is plus, I didn't check it today, somewhere plus 250. It's over plus 200, that's for sure.
I like it. I think he's going to have a huge game. Obviously, you know, the Chiefs have some injuries in the wide receivers, so I absolutely love that. My first bet, I did the Eagles and Chiefs under 24.5 points for the first half. The last 17 years, the first half under is 11-5-1. That's 69% against the number. It's hit 4 out of the last 5 years. The Eagles, I think, are going to have some long drives, look to really take advantage of the Chiefs defense, which struggles stopping the run to set up the pass. Hurts and Mahomes aren't healthy. And when we just look historically at this game, no team wants to lose it in the first half. So I think it's going to be a very vanilla game plan to start out. So I bet the under 24.5 at FanDuel for the first half.
So wouldn't the other play there is which half is higher scoring, first half or second half? And you would say, if you think the first half is going to be low scoring, then second half is going to have more points, because that's a bet that I like. That doesn't mean that I'm sold on the first half is going to be under 24.5. Like, I could see the first half being 27, but the second half being 31. You know, me personally, I like the over in this game. So I think there are going to be plenty of points, and I think a lot of them are going to come from the Chiefs. If we never talk about the game, I'll just throw it out there right now. I think the final score will be something like Chiefs mid-30s and Philly mid-20s, like 38-27 or something like that. But I think it's going to be a high-scoring game that Mahomes, he's Patrick Mahomes, and he's going to get his points. But on the show a lot, this week on More Ways to Win, there's been a lot of me being the only person that thinks that, and I'm just getting fought by guys that are saying, come on, the Phillies defense is so good, and there's no way Mahomes is going to have enough time to throw because the offensive line is not going to be able to hold off these guys from the Eagles and, 70 sacks this year. But I don't think they played anybody. The strength of schedule for the Eagles is weak. And this is going to be something that they've never seen Patrick Mahomes before. Come on. I mean, last year they actually did, but this year, it's been a light schedule for the Eagles.
Yeah, I get your point. I respect your point. I'll say it right here, though. Even though I have futures on both teams, I did bet the Eagles minus the 1.5. I look at it football. Like football. No, I look at it like this. I really feel that football is won in the trenches. I think the big thing in the Chiefs-Bengals game was Jones, Clark. They were able to create pressure on Burrow. I don't think they're going to be able to create that much pressure on Hurts. I think that Sweat, Reddick, Hargrave, the whole crew, I think they're going to be able to create pressure on Mahomes. And I trust, as crazy as it sounds, when you just look at all the playmakers that the Eagles have, I trust the Eagles playmakers more than I trust the Chiefs playmakers, because Tony, Hardman, everyone's hurt. You know, I'm not doubting Mahomes. Like, I think he's great and everything. But I think this. But I'm going to tell you this. So, do you think the Chiefs are going to win the game?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm picking the Chiefs.
So I was looking at FanDuel, and my dad's an accountant, so I'm pretty good at math. On FanDuel, they are plus 104 to win it all. Okay, to win the game. Mahomes is plus 130 to win the Super Bowl MVP. In my eyes, It's either going to be Mahomes or Kelsey that are going to win the MVP. Currently on FanDuel, Kelsey is plus 1,600. So if you put 100 on Mahomes at plus 130, $13.53 on Kelsey at plus 1,600, you have coverage on both guys, and you've locked yourself into $100 profit either way. I mean, that
I like that logic, because but if for some reason, like, if it's a low scoring game and a defensive guy gets 2 picks and, you know, a strip sack fumble or something, or Pacheco just goes bonkers, like, if for some reason it wasn't one of those 2 guys, now you've kind of shot yourself in the foot. But I mean,
yeah,
I like the accounting part. I like the math.
Yeah, I mean, like, math wise, it works out. But I mean, in reality, I don't see how they don't give it to Mahomes if they win it. I think it's Mahomes. I think it's his MVP.
Oh, I think it's Mahomes too. I would even save the $13 on Kelsey and bet that extra 13 on Mahomes.
Yeah, just double thought. I do have a bet. Give me your thoughts on this one. Jared McKinnon, longest rush under 8.5 yards. He has not had a rush attempt go over this total since the game December 18th against the Texans. In the last 4 games, we've seen Pacheco take over the early down work. McKinnon has become the pass catching back. Since that game on December 18th, McKinnon has had 24 carries for 43 yards. That's less than 2 yards per carry. And Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's coming back, which means more than likely a decrease in snaps and touches. So I locked in McKinnon under 8.5 yards, longest rush.
So I didn't. His longest rush. What's his actual game total?
His actual game total. Let me pull it up real quick.
How many carries is he even going to get with Edwards-Helaire back? So here's what I did. Yeah, I would say as long as I don't even know how many rushes he's going to get in the game, but I would say his combined rushes might even be less than that. There's some games where he doesn't even get 9 yards in the whole game. I'm playing him over in passing yards, though, in receiving yards. He's 22.5 the last I checked on the FanDuel Sportsbook, but I have him over the 22.5 receiving yards. I'm with you. I don't think they're going to see him as a featured back as far as getting carries. Like, he's not been a guy that they've relied on for that. And especially with Clyde Edwards-Helaire back, if they're going to run it, they would bring him in, right?
Yeah, you would think. I mean, especially if he's over his injury, less banged up, more fresh. Matt chimes in, FanDuel, superior book, very user-friendly. Are there any dark horses for a TD on Sunday?
Okay, so I'll throw this out for you, and it's not my pick, but so every day we have a show on More Ways to Win, and it's kind of repetitive because it's the Super Bowl. You only have one thing to talk about, so it comes up over and over again. Who's an anytime touchdown scorer? And James Jones, Super Bowl champion, ex Green Bay Packer. He
Yep.
keeps throwing this name out here, and I'm like, really? Boston Scott. He's like, Boston Scott is going to score because it just seems like, even though he's not Sanders, they go to him, and he's this guy that all of a sudden, when important things are about to happen, who's on the field? Boston Scott, and he gets in. So he's first touchdown scorer. He's about plus 2,900, I think. And I think anytime is somewhere around plus 550, plus 600 maybe. So that would be like the dark horse that I'm going to throw out there.
550 anytime touchdown scorer. I'll go with, you know who I'll go with? I will go with, you know what?
Quez Watkins. You're going to go Quez Watkins.
I would go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's 10-1 anytime touchdown score. For someone who could get some luck,
is he not going to get utilized? I know he's active, but how much are they really going to bring him into the mix? That's my question.
But if Hardman, Tony, and crew, if they can't play, he can line up, he can get some slot work. So I mean that's kind of my thinking.
Okay.
Or I go with one of like Kemp, their tight end, someone like that as an anytime TD guy. Now, one bet I like, and this is my boy, Devontae Smith. I like his over receiving yards. I locked it in really early over in FanDuel when it opened up at 60.5. Anything under 67.5, I still
think it's
like.
62.5 now?
It's 62. But the stuff's going to go up. As long as it's below 67, I still like it. You look at the last couple weeks, the Chiefs in the slot, Boyd, 2 targets, 2 receptions, 40 yards. He left the game early, went over his total. Kirk, 14 targets, 7 receptions, 52 yards, dropped that long bomb that should have been a touchdown, went over his total. Renfro, 7 targets, 7 receptions, 63 yards, went over his total. That's 7.6 targets, 5.3 receptions, 51.6 yards. The last 3 games that opposing slot receivers have done against the Chiefs. Pressure situations, people tend to lean on who they know and trust. These two went to college together at Alabama. I expect Hurts to target Smith often. Plus, Snead has a concussion. We don't really know. He hasn't been cleared yet. Obviously, it's really early in the week.
Could be a rookie out there, right?
Yep. Joshua Williams, who's not that good. And the Chiefs, they play this pass funnel defense that forces everything in the middle. I absolutely love Devontae Smith. I lock his over it.
Yeah, if there's one of the 2 receivers that I like more, and I'm a Chiefs guy, believe me, I'm betting mostly Chiefs props, but if there's one receiver I like more than the other on the Eagles side, it's Smith over Brown. Brown has just kind of been like this non-existent force the last couple of games. Early in the year, his ceiling is so high. We know he can get 150 if he needs to, but he's just not been the guy that's been gone to. So I'm going to say if there's one of the 2, it's going to be Smith over Brown. And look, we both keep drinking the water.
Well, mine's actually Tito's.
Drinking too much. Give me mine. I wish mine was. I'm going to hit the restroom for like 20 seconds. I'm going to be right back just to get rid of some of this water. So give us back.
All right. So along with that, Dave mentioned A.J. Brown. One of the things I definitely like A.J. Brown here. My thought process is this. DVOA, the Chiefs are 31st defending wide receiver ones. They're going to have 2 rookies out there. McDuffie and Watson will be guarding him. I know they've been a lot better in the playoffs, but when you look at their whole body of work for the season, they have really struggled defending these wide receivers. A.J. Brown is a big play guy. I locked this in at 68.5. This is tinked up a little bit to 72.5. So I absolutely love this. I think the Eagles are going to be able to have their way with the Chiefs defense and move the ball back. Spear 22 chimes in. Uncle Rico, how are we liking the over? I'm seeing 50.5. I bet it on openers. I bet the under just because I expect it to dip down a little bit, but which it hasn't. Most in these games tend to go over, like Dave says, the Super Bowl over. It tends to drift a little bit over. So I do like the over, but I wouldn't play it if it got to 51. So that's kind of my breaking point right now in terms of betting the over would be 50.5. Now one Brandon chimes in. When will it be official that Rodgers becomes a Raider?
Well, he's got to have his moment of darkness or whatever this is. He's going to go like in a cave for 4 days or something and try to figure it out. I have a feeling Raiders, really? I mean,
yeah.
Isn't it going to be a Jet? Like if I had to pick a team, New York seems to be more of the spot for me. But what do I know? I'm not good at like predicting where guys. I'm better at saying what's going to happen in the game and what's going to happen in the off season. But I would say Jets more than Raiders.
Yeah, I could see him going. I don't know why anyone would want to go to the Raiders. I'm sorry. I know people watch this that are Raiders fans.
Well, Devontae Adams, that's his boy, right? I mean, that would be why.
Yeah. And you got Renthro. I don't know what's going on with Josh Jacobs, but I look at it like you got the Chargers, you got the Chiefs. Why would you want to do that? I was actually surprised.
Right, that division is nasty.
So, I gave one more player prop. What's a player prop that you're looking at? Anything else?
Okay, so I have about 8 of them. Okay, here's a good one. It's not a player prop. It's actually, I don't know where it falls. I guess it would fall under a game prop. It is what is going to happen first, a sack or a touchdown. Did you see that one?
I did not see that one.
Okay, so I looked up the last 4 Super Bowls, and in the last 4 Super Bowls, a sack has happened before a touchdown. But when you look at these two teams specifically, with the Eagles being so prominent on being able to get to the quarterback, and then you got Jones on the Chiefs side being able to get to the quarterback. And we haven't talked about this. Lane Johnson, we've talked about the Chiefs wide receiver injuries. Lane Johnson is not 100%. He is not going to be able to take care of Chris Jones the way that he would if he was 100%. So I think there's a chance that either the Chiefs get to Hurts or the Eagles get to Mahomes before they get into the end zone. So I'm going to make a bet that there is a sack before there's a touchdown.
I like that. I like that one a lot. I will have to say the first bet I locked in, and this line is long dong. It was on FanDuel. I had Reddick anytime sack at plus 140. This is a flip to minus 154 on FanDuel, so I would not bet it at that price. I do. What's another one you're looking at?
You know what the crazy thing is on Reddick? And it totally shocked me when I was looking at MVP odds. You're going to see Kelsey. You're going to see Mahomes, obviously, and Hurts. But he was like 5th choice. Like, to me, defensive players are usually way down the list. You're going to have both quarterbacks, a couple running back, receivers. He was only like plus 2,000 the last I checked. So a lot of people are probably pounding him to have a big game and possibly be MVP. I'm not one of those. Here's another prop because we've been talking about most of them. Here's a guy that nobody's really been talking about in the Super Bowl. We've been talking about Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, but Quez Watkins, over under receiving yards, 12.5 yards. This guy he's capable of getting that in one. If he gets a catch, it's going to be 13 yards. He's not getting a 4-yard catch. So that could be the same as, is this guy going to get a catch? But he can get a 40-yarder, 30-yarder, 20-yarder. I think there's going to be certain downs where, they have 4 or 5 wides. You're going to be guarding Brown. You're going to be guarding Smith. You're going to be guarding Goddard. This guy's going to get open for a 14-yard catch, 13-yard catch. It just takes one. For Quez Watkins, he's going to be my guy to get a catch and go over that total. Am I crazy?
No, that's one catch. I mean, his average depth of target is well past that. He's the deep threat. He stretches the field. That's easily, and plus, like I said, the pass funnel system, if they just have him do the post up the field, that is very easily doable. I have this one, and I have to give credit to former Division III quarterback great Reed Bianucci on this one. Will there be an opening touchback? No, at plus 160.
Right.
Four of the last
Talk to me. Let's see if we agree on the reasoning.
4 of the last 5 have been returned. You look at Elliott and Buckner, their touchback percentage, it's low compared to the rest of the league. Also, Reed played college football at a good level. His thing was this: these guys back there are so amped that as soon as they touch the ball, they're going to be looking to make a big play. So it could be like 9 yards deep, and they're going to just take it out. And this is from someone that played a pretty high level of football. He said these guys are going to be so jacked, they're just going to take it out no matter, unless it's completely kicked out of the end zone. So I hopped it on at plus 160.
Here's my take. But I have a whole nother reasoning, and I think, I don't want to misquote, but I think Pat McAfee is the one, and he knows how these kickers work, right? And he said, I hope that wasn't somebody else, but I think it was, that the ball that is used on the opening kickoff is given to the Hall of Fame or something. It's kind of like a commemorative ball, right? If it was just a normal game, these kickers are going to be working these balls, kind of be like working them in, kicking them, crushing them down. But this is like a mint ball, like right out of the box. And it's not the same as a ball that is going to be used in a regular game. So it doesn't go as far. So there's a good chance that this is just some Hall of Fame ball that gets kicked, to the 2-yard line, and it doesn't even get into the end zone. So there's my theory, which could be totally made up, but I think I read that somewhere. And then there's your theory that even if it does get kicked into the end zone, 6, 7, 8 yards, they're running it out. So I think, and it's plus money. So between both of our theories, it's not a bad bet.
I like it. I locked it in. You've locked it in. Let's cash it. Now, you mentioned sacks. Over under sitting at 5.5 at FanDuel, plus 104 to the over, minus 132 the under. I'm kind of leaning over because, like you mentioned, Lane Johnson, not 100%. You can line up the kid from Purdue, whose name I can't pronounce, or Jones over him. Plus, you look at the Eagles' defensive line. I think they're going to be able to get to it. What's your thought on total sacks over under 5.5?
I mean, it's hard to not think about the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes, where he's running around and he had like, I don't remember the numbers, like 150 or something, just like scramble yards behind the line of scrimmage a couple of years back against the Bucs. But I don't think the Eagles are going to be able to do that to him. So let's sort out there this way. If there are going to be 6, because that's what it would have to be, is it going to be Eagles have 6 and the Chiefs have none, or is it going to be 4 and 2 or 5 and 1? Like, who's going to be the one that's really getting the lion's share? Because most people, I think, are thinking it's going to be the Eagles. I think Mahomes is going to get protection in this game. So I'm going to go under. I'm going to go under the 5.5.
So based on what you just said, team to have the most sacks, sounds like you kind of like the the Chiefs at plus 120.
Oh, so there is one who gets more. But that actually seems a little bit off. Like, just being in the room, being on Radio Row, everybody thinks that the Eagles defense is just so good and Mahomes is going to get swarmed. I would think it would sound like the Chiefs would be plus 180 or plus 190 to get more sacks than the Chiefs. But Chris Jones is the X factor. And the fact that I think Lane Johnson is not going to be able to be the same guy that he can be on his best day, I'm going to take the plus money. I'm going to say the Chiefs get to Hurts more than the Eagles get to Mahomes.
Okay. All right.
Even though those odds seem light.
Okay. I did bet Hargrave and Sweat both have a sack. FanDuel had them both plus over plus 150. So I did bet those just because you mentioned the Reddick MVP odds. I feel they're a little too low. I feel like everyone is on Reddick. This is going to open up stuff for the other guys on the line for the Eagles. Hargrave, he had one sack last game. Sweat has 5 sacks in the last 5 games. He's been getting to the quarterback great. I think they can both get home against Mahomes. So I like those a lot. What's another prop you're looking at?
And I know we've talked a lot this season, and you like those individual guys to get the sack more than you don't want to say which team gets more when you can get better odds in saying this is the particular guy who is going to be able to get the yards, right? Here's one more prop that I like, and it involves Patrick Mahomes, and everybody's worried about his ankle. He can't move. You know what? His rushing total is 18.5. He's going to run the ball. Patrick Mahomes is going to break one off for 12 or 11 or 9. Then he's going to get another one for 5 or 6, and he's going to get a few for 1 or 2 or 3. When you add it up at the end of the game, that's a low number for Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. He's not going to sit back there and be a passer every single play. He's going to use his legs, and he doesn't always do it. But in this game, watch. He'll get one for 15 or 12 or 11, and that will kind of launch him to make the 19 seem pretty easy when it's all said and done.
Okay.
So I like Mahomes over on the rushing.
So this question was just texted to me to ask you. Pacheco over or under receiving yards?
Receiving yards?
For Pacheco.
Under.
Okay.
Under.
That's what
I don't see him being a receiver, except that they're so weak right now, right? They're so depleted. Tony's a maybe. Harmon's out. I don't even think Juju's 100%, right? So they're going to have Valdez-Scantling and Kelsey totally ready to go. But I still don't think Pacheco is going to be the guy that gets some catches out of the backfield. And you and I have talked about a lot of different running back props throughout the year, and we've nailed a few. Pacheco doesn't seem like the guy to me that is catching passes. If he gets yards, to me it's on the ground. And you look at what the Eagles gave up throughout the playoffs as far as big runs. So Barkley in the first game ran one for 39. And in the last game, McCaffrey broke one for 23. So those big gaps are going to be there. If Pacheco can get, a 20, 25-yard gain on the ground, why not play his rushing total, which is 52.5 on a FanDuel Sportsbook? What, just out of curiosity, and I haven't seen it, what would his receiving be? I'm going to say somewhere around like 17.5, 18. It can't be that high, right?
I'm pulling it up right now. There's no way.
I wouldn't think it's in the 20s. 13.5? I mean, it might even be lower than what I'm thinking, but I don't see him as a guy that's going to catch any balls.
On FanDuel, it's 16.5.
I would go under.
Yep, I like that. Now, one guy I am very intrigued on is Kenneth Gainwell. That's one guy from the Eagles I think is very capable of having a good game. We've seen they always do this dual system back. have it be even 3 because they use Sanders, Gainwell, and Scott. But I just don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to target Gainwell in this game. And one of the things that you and I did a lot this year is we targeted pass catching, receiving running backs against the Chiefs. His total on FanDuel is 11.5. I don't know though.
Right?
11.5 receiving.
Is that rushing or receiving? 11 receiving. Okay.
Receiving.
But I bet his rushing's probably somewhere. I bet they're about like the same. I bet they're the same though, rushing and receiving, because 2 weeks ago or 2 games ago, when he went for 112 yards against the Giants, he ran for 112. His rushing total the next week against the Niners was 11.5. Like, I'd never seen a guy go for 100 and then the number's that low. I thought he would get over the rushing last week. I don't think he will this week. I just don't see Gainwell being their main guy on the ground. But he, to me, more like Pacheco, visually to me, he's not catching anything. Gainwell, yes, he would get some swings out, or some dumps that are going to get 4 or 5 yards. It's just a matter of, is he going to get it on one catch? Probably not. But could he get 3 for 4 or 5 yards that add up to that? Yes. So it's just targets and usage. And I'm not sold that they're going to use Gainwell that much in this game. I don't know what your overall feel is for that. I think Sanders is going to go a lot heavier here than they've used up to this point in the playoffs.
I guess it kind of depends on how you think the game's going to play out. If this is a game where you see the Eagles get down and they have to play catch up, Gainwell is obviously a better receiving back. So
and that's what I see.
Yeah. But if you think it's going to be a close game or the Eagles be front runners, then I don't think I don't think it will hit. So it's important when we bet these props to those watching, you got to make sure that your props fit how you vision the game is playing out in your head. Do you have any other props, any other bets that you're looking at? Because I have someone asked about MVP. I'm going to give you my MVP strategy because I have a phenomenal MVP strategy. But before that, I think I've covered all of mine. Is there any other bets that you are looking to lock in?
Yeah. Let me just throw this out, because you just said you got to understand the game script and the kind of the game flow for a prop bet. But the best kind of prop bet is the one that can hit in either scenario. And to me, Patrick Mahomes passing yards, it opened up, I think, somewhere around 283, went to 286. I think it's up to maybe 292.5 right now in the FanDuel Sportsbook. But this is the type of bet that can hit. He could have an MVP type game where they win 38-20 and he has 350 yards. Or if they're down 27-10 in the second half and he has 110 at halftime, he's going to get 200 in the second half chasing. So that's the one bet that I think totally dismisses that notion that it has to set up this way for it to happen. That's the bet that could happen either way. So that's kind of why I do like Mahomes to hit the over. Like, how could he ever go under if they were up 30-0 and he had 190 in the first half and they just totally handed it off? But it's not going to be that big of a blowout if they win. So either way, I think that's a very safe bet, Mahomes, on the over on the passing yards.
Okay, I like it. I think that the Eagles' defense is a little overvalued. I think it's good, but I don't think it's as good as people say it is. I think that it's going to be open underneath the middle, and I think Kelsey's going to be able to live there. Obviously, he is one of the greatest wide receiving tight ends ever to play the game. How do you feel about this?
Yep.
Who do you feel will have the most receiving yards in the game?
Kelsey. And we talked about that on the show too. It was basically, it's Kelsey or Brown or Smith. It could be either of those three, but Kelsey is just so clutch. And to me, when you look at the strength of schedule and the Eagles passing defense is second in the league, but that's against like the Steelers, Houston, the Packers, the Bears, teams that don't pass, the Redskins or the Washington, and of course the Giants. They got to play 3 times with Danny Dimes. With the one team since week 7 that the Eagles played that had a legitimate passing attack with Dak and CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz, etc. Dak threw for 347 yards. Everybody else was getting in the hundreds, 200s, but they were playing trash passing teams. This is the type of offense that they have never seen this year. I think Mahomes is going to have a huge game, and the Eagles are going to have a hard time keeping them down. There's another bet. Which team has more net yards, Chiefs or Eagles? And I like Eagles. I said it earlier on the show. To 4, I'm going to throw the number out to 2. 489 yards for the Chiefs to 319 for the Eagles. That's like what, 170 yard difference.
170 yards, yeah. Look at you, dude. Look at you.
Am I crazy to think that the Chiefs are going to get almost 500 yards of offense? I don't think so.
It's doable. It's kind of crazy, like when you dive back, how you think this can play out, because there's a million ways how this game.
Eagles aren't as good as I think, or as people think on defense. I mean, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
But what about Mahomes over 350 yards at plus 320?
Yeah. Why not? I mean, I think I have him for 325, 320, 325. But to get that extra juice, to get 350, and same premise as, look, you can get it if he's losing or you can get it if he's winning. I would do it.
Mahomes INT. Yes, minus 122. No, minus 108.
Right. And I think the combined, if you do total in the game, is 1.5. So that could be 2 for Hurts, could be 2 for Mahomes, could be 1 for each. I'm staying away from that. I don't want to predict those are flukes, right? You get a tip ball. I don't want to bet interception prop. I'm not playing that.
Now, this is fun for me. Now I'm not betting this, but if I had to bet this, I would bet first sack of the game, Frank Clark 8-1. That would be my pick for first sack of the game.
You're betting it. What do you mean you're not betting it? You're betting it. Stop lying.
I may throw a little bit on it. For first sack of the game, if you had to pick someone, who would you go? Who would you go with for first sack?
What's Jones?
6-1.
Jones is probably he is?
Yeah, Jones is 6-1, Reddit 7-1.
So all the Eagles are the favorites?
No, Jones is the favorite for the first sack of the game.
Plus 600.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I would take Jones.
Okay. Man, that's a fun one. This is how I am betting my MVP market. I think, like we talked about it, I think it's Mahomes. I think Mahomes is going to win the MVP if the Chiefs win. For the Eagles,
what? Wait, but you don't think the Chiefs are going to win. You think the Eagles are going to win.
What I'm saying is this. I'm saying if you think the Chiefs are going to win, bet Mahomes. For me, I'm betting the Eagles. I think the Eagles win, but I don't. For whatever reason, no one likes Jalen Hurts. I have no idea why people don't like Jalen Hurts. I did this deep rant on it last week, like the stuff he's been through. I coach kids. This is who I tell the kids to look up to, because everything he's had to deal with the stuff with Saban, the stuff with Peterson, and he just keeps on trucking. Now he's got to the Super Bowl. But I don't think he's going to win the MVP. I am going to put money on Brown at 18-1, Sanders 25-1, Smith 31-1, and the tight end Dallas at 60-1. That's how I'm just going to break it up. Okay. Whatever I'm going to bet, say it's $100, I'll put 25 on each, and I'll just go with it there. because I can see like Sanders having 3 TDs and them winning the game. Smith having 2, them winning the game. Because we need to remember last year was Cup. If Beckham didn't get hurt, probably would have been Beckham. Or if the Bengals would have won, it probably would have been T. Higgins. So I think a pass catcher is it. I don't think a running back has won MVP for a while. So with how the Chiefs struggle against the run, maybe it's due. But that's how I would bet the MVP market.
Well, so it wasn't Beckham last year, but it was Cup. So it was Cup last year, and it was Julian Edelman 4 years ago for the Patriots. So 2 of the last 4 years, it has been pass catchers. I think historically, Super Bowl MVP is mostly quarterbacks, but it is so priced down. Like I think Mahomes is plus 130 and Hurts is plus 140 or somewhere in. So the quarterbacks are always so chalky. But in my mind, you're right. If the Eagles win, it could be a number of things. If the Chiefs win, it's Mahomes. I mean, if the Chiefs are going to win, Patrick Mahomes is going to be the reason. So I wouldn't try to get too crazy on that side of it, and I would just take the plus 130 on him.
I like it. Dave, I'd like to thank you for coming on. Like I said, over this last year, I've gotten to know you, consider you a friend. Thank you for coming on. Also, happy early birthday. That's right around the corner, my friend.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell everyone?
You know what it is?
The 12th.
It's Super Bowl Sunday.
It is.
Super Bowl my birthday. Come on.
Look at
what
you.
A party that's going to be.
Look at you, dude. Super Bowl, birthday, and then Valentine's with the wife on a couple days later, man. You got a lot of stuff going on right there, my man. Why don't you tell everyone how they can watch you on FanDuel TV, what time your show is on, and your schedule for the week leading up to the big game?
Yeah, it's a little scattered. You can catch me on Twitter. I'm at Ice Cold Exacta. That's a horse racing term. I do like horse racing as well as the NFL. But as far as more ways to win on FanDuel TV, we're on every morning all the way through Super Bowl Sunday. So tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but it varies. It's early on. So DirecTV channel 602, you can catch us on FanDuel TV Plus OTT platform as well. But it's somewhere between, it kind of varies between 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., all those mornings. So you got to get up early, or you can catch, we're on YouTube as well. We've got a page there where we'll put up all the shows after the fact. So one way or another, hopefully you can catch us. We're going to have some great interviews this week. We've got Donovan McNabb tomorrow. Speaking of the Eagles, we're going to have Justin Fields, Micah Parsons. We got some big things lined up, so it's going to be fun. Nice.
And you got my boy St. Brown coming on too, which is I'm definitely going to be tuning in for.
He's with me. We did McNabb, and I'm at St. Brown. So cool.
Awesome. So make sure you give Dave a follow on Twitter. Make sure you tune in to FanDuel TV. Thanks for coming on, my friend. I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
My pleasure. Thanks, man.